Islam, the religion of truth.
Miracles of Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. Prohibition of breathing and blowing into food or drink vessels. Hadith Text. From the companion Abu Qatadah radhiyallahu anhu, the Prophet shallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "If one of you drinks, then do not breathe into the vessel." Narrated by Bukhari, number 153, and Muslim, number 267. In the narration of Abu Dawud, from the companion Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhuma and others, there is an addition. Or blow into it. Narrated by Abu Dawud, number 3728, and Tirmidhi, number 1889, authenticated as sahih by Al-Albani. Content of the Hadith. First content, prohibition of breathing into a drinking vessel. This hadith serves as evidence for the prohibition of breathing into a vessel containing a drink. The recommended practice is to breathe outside the food or drink vessel by moving the cup away from the mouth and breathing externally. The prohibition is due to three potential harms arising from this act. 1. Contamination for others. Breathing into a food or drink vessel may contaminate the contents for others who consume it afterward. This is because there is a risk of impurities, for example, saliva, nasal particles falling from the mouth or nose during exhalation. 2. Risk of disease transmission. A person's breath may carry illnesses that could contaminate the food or drink. 3. Risk of choking. When drinking, water flows downward, while breath moves upward. If both actions occur simultaneously, a person may choke, and saliva might fall into the vessel. All of this contradicts proper dining etiquette. Recommended practice. When drinking, one should not do so in one continuous breath. Instead, it is advised to drink in 2 or 3 intervals, moving the cup away from the mouth each time to breathe. This method is gentler on the stomach, more effective for quenching thirst, more polite, and avoids resembling the behavior of someone who is greedy or gluttonous. It is narrated from Anas radhiyallahu anhu, who said, "The Messenger of Allah shallallahu alaihi wasallam would breathe 3 times while drinking and say, 'This is more refreshing, more healing, that is, safer from potential harm caused by drinking in one breath, and more satisfying, that is, gentler on the stomach.'" And has added, "So I too breathe 3 times when I drink." Narrated by Muslim. Number 2028. Explanation of breathing 3 times while drinking. The phrase breathing 3 times in his drink does not mean breathing into the vessel while drinking. The intended meaning of the hadith, as clarified by its subsequent wording, "It is more refreshing, more healing, and more satisfying," is that the Prophet shallallahu alaihi wasallam would pause to breathe outside the vessel 3 times while drinking, rather than consuming the drink in a single continuous gulp. This practice ensures proper etiquette, prevents contamination, and aligns with the health benefits mentioned in the narration. Second content, prohibition of blowing into food or drink. The hadith from Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu prohibits blowing into food or drink vessels. This ruling aims to protect the food or drink from contamination or spoilage caused by the breath of the person blowing. For instance, the breath may carry impurities, alter the taste of the food drink, or transmit odors, especially if the blower has bad breath due to consumed food, lack of oral hygiene, for example, not using a siwak, or digestive vapors from the stomach. Scholarly views on the scope of the prohibition. The majority of scholars restrict this prohibition to situations where one eats or drinks with others. If a person is alone, with family, or with someone they are certain will not be harmed by their breath, blowing is permitted. However, Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah favored a general prohibition, regardless of company. He argued that there is no guarantee residual food, contamination, or harm will not occur, even in private settings. This stricter view is endorsed by Muhammad al-Mubarakfuri rahimahullah in his commentary on Jami at-Tirmidhi, where he states, "This is the more definitive opinion in my view, and Allah knows best." Tafaj al-Awadzi, 612. Prohibition of blowing into drinks, context and alternatives. The act of blowing into a drink is generally motivated by 2 reasons. 1. Cooling hot drinks. If the drink is hot, one should exercise patience and wait for it to cool naturally instead of blowing into it. 2. Removing visible impurities. If there is visible debris in the drink, the person should remove it using their finger if others will drink from the same vessel or a clean utensil like a spoon or stick. Blowing is unnecessary and prohibited. Hadith evidence. From Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radhiyallahu anhu, the Prophet shallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade blowing into drinks. A man once said, "I see impurities in the vessel." The Prophet responded, "Pour it out." The man then said, "I cannot drink in one breath." The Prophet replied, "Then remove the cup from your mouth to breathe." Narrated by Tirmidhi, number 1887, authenticated as sahih by Al-Albani. Key takeaways. Blowing into drinks is prohibited to prevent contamination and uphold hygiene. Alternatives include patience for cooling, using utensils to remove impurities, or pausing to breathe away from the vessel. This discussion is summarized from Minhaj al-Alam fi Siyar Bulugh al-Maram 7, 452-454. Author, Himsaif Adan Hakim. Prohibition of blowing and breathing into a glass when drinking. From Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, he said, "The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade drinking from a cracked part of a glass and forbade blowing into the drink. Hadith narrated by Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi, and declared authentic by Sheikh Al-Albani and Sahih and As-Sunnah and Abu Dawud. And from Abdullah bin Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, he said, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade breathing into a vessel, glass, or blowing into it. And from Abu Qatadah, may Allah be pleased with him, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if one of you drinks, let him not breathe into the vessel, glass. Hadith narrated by Al-Bukhari. And there are many other hadiths with similar meanings. Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, said, as for the prohibition of blowing into the drink, it brings about an unpleasant odor that is disliked, coming from the mouth of the one who blows, especially if he has bad breath. The conclusion is that the breath of the blower will contaminate the water. The noble prophetic guidance contains high manners, and the act of blowing on food and drink deviates from general etiquette and contains an element of disrespect. From a health perspective, the dirty air filled with carbon gases, CO, and various impurities often occurs in people suffering from urinary tract infections. Blowing into the drink is merely a process of mixing these impurities with food and drink. Therefore, the prohibition of blowing on food and drink is a form of protection for humans from the risk of contracting diseases. And Allah knows best.